I'm actually so nervous I might shit.
Supposed to do that before the show.
I was gonna say, if you're gonna do it on air, because
yeah, you will get more views that way.
Well, after a long break, the crew is back, and we're excited to get into talking about all kinds of things creative. The Expressions Podcast, this is season 4. I am Brian. We have our regular crew of miscreants and amazing people with us here today. Roll call. Sean, why don't you start?
What up? Pleasure to be back. Fuck, I didn't think I was going to be allowed back on the show, honestly. I'm actually shocked that you guys were like, yeah, sure, come on back, I guess. You know?
We always joke about, that whole, re-signing for another season or whatever. I don't know. I was just excited that you said yes to coming back. I mean, I have so much fun doing these things, and I think the dynamic we all have is really unique, and I love it. So I'm glad you're back. Welcome, Sean.
Hey man, I'm glad to be back. It's been a fun journey, doing 2 podcasts at the same time. But I mean, it's nice because like whenever I don't have to do the other podcast, I'm always here hanging out with you guys. You guys are a jolly bunch of folks, so it's fucking great. I love it.
You gotta still stay creative, right? You gotta still keep doing stuff. So, Absolutely. Mark, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I mean, it has been a long time. I think the last time we saw each other, we had dinner at Jack Astor's, the 4 of us.
The first time we actually got together face to face, all 4
we'd
of
all
us.
been in the same room at the same time. I'm usually the one missing because I live so far way up in the Arctic here. So, but no, it's good. I mean, Christmas was good, and it was quiet here because we don't have any family, and the friends we do have were out of town. So it was just Chris and I did the whole 9-yard turkey dinner, and I have leftover turkey for days frozen in the freezer. But it's awesome. Like, it's great to be back. I'm looking forward to this, and looking forward to chatting with you a lot again.
Yes, absolutely. Aurora, how about you? What have you done anything since we've last spoken that's like crazy and silly?
I mean, I'm excited to be back. I'm excited to start the podcast. Things have been really busy. As many of you guys know who listen, Brian, myself, and Mark all work in retail. So holiday season is a very tiring time for people who work in retail. And right after, just a couple days ago, I was sick, and I've been trying to get over that. So I'm at the tail end of it now. I'm happy to start feeling better again. It sucks to be sick, but this time of year, I think it goes around. You're seeing friends, family, relatives in groups, and people are sick, and it happens, right?
Yeah, it does.
I'm super excited to get into the podcast again. I mean, I've missed having, our in-depth creative kind of conversations and laughing with you all. And yeah, so.
Me too. And, it's funny, the holiday season, yes, it was actually fairly different this year for our retail. The people were coming back into the store. We finally had stock to sell a little bit, but it felt different. It didn't feel like joyous, happy Christmas still, like I remember retail was like all, I don't know what I'm talking about. Retail always sucked. Every Christmas sucked.
But, mine was different because I got lots of puppies in the store this year. So everybody brings their puppies in to pick out their treats, right? So I'm like, yeah, there's another dog.
That can't be bad.
It's never a bad day when there's dogs.
Well, this season 4, we are refocusing on what we, the hosts, find interesting. The topics that we're going to come up with are going to be things that we think are creative and interesting and fun. Not as much focused on guests and things like that we've done in the past, although we probably will still have some.
Yeah, we may have a few.
All have friends that are super creative and we want to talk about it. But those creative things that we like to do are the things that we're going to talk more about, starting with tonight's episode, which is really artists and songs that have changed the world. I just think it's so cool when you start thinking about the history of time, or at least my own personal history of my life frame, time, whatever you want to call it. There are certain songs that just stand out, certain bands that just stand out, that were important moments for me, that were important songs that, ushered in a whole new era and changed the world as we know it. When I first thought of this, I was looking back through the history of music at some of the different artists. Like, you look back at Woodstock and you look at some of these other big events that truly changed the world. It's amazing that music, creativity can have that kind of an impact. So we thought we would do a show on that. What do you guys think of that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm into it.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Before we get into that, I just want to kind of just say, was there one thing since we've last talked that has changed your creativity? Something that has happened to you from the time that we last did a podcast till today that has kind of changed how you work, how you shoot, how you think, how you create? Sean?
Fuck, that's a good question. Damn. Not really anything as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I've been dealing with a lot of stuff and, going through a lot of what I like to think are newer experiences in my life. And I mean, last time we talked, I gave you guys the whole spiel and all this other stuff, so I won't go into detail over the podcast or anything. But it's been a very big learning process for me, and I can't say that it's changed me creatively in any way, shape, or form yet, but I'm sure that it will eventually. I'm not entirely sure if it will or not, but I mean, crazy shit happens all the time, right? So,
yeah.
But no, man. I mean, recently I've just been, I've been not skateboarding. I've actually told a lot of my friends that I was gonna quit, and I'm dead serious about it, just because my body can't handle that shit anymore. And
well, you got back to it, and you probably.
I did. I went out a couple of nights ago with a couple of my buddies, and needless to say, I can't keep up with them like I used to, and it's a bit of a sore spot, and it sucks. But I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, I can still kind of do some stuff. But a lot of it's been
age.
Yeah, a lot of it's been me trying to focus on my schooling and trying to take a different career path that I'm actually more interested in cutting fucking grass and shit. So yeah, man, no, it's been a lot of learning and a lot of information that I've been trying to soak in my small tiny pea brain. So it's been very different since we last all hung out. And I was actually stoked. I'm not gonna lie, I got to meet Mark for the first time, and it was great. Seeing Mark in the flesh is
I'm not really a big asshole. It's awesome.
It's funny because he's not. Because I got out of the car and he was immediately like, "Wow, the car looks a lot better in person." I was like, "Thank you." It's I didn't even know it was you for a second. Holy shit!
That's funny.
Yeah.
Mark?
That was awesome. Yeah, so me, I mean, obviously I started a new career, and I get to talk to people about pets and things like that, and obviously certain hobbies. And one of the hobbies I had big time when I was younger was aquarium keeping. I don't know how many aquariums. Dad and I used to build them, and I think at one point I had 10 or 12 set up in my parents' house. So I'm now, I think on our last, when we left the podcast, I had just the one that's over here, the little one. And now there are 3 set up in the house. So, and I have all new plants to revamp that one. And I'm just trying to figure out whether to flop out the decor. It's a sunken battleship that's in there, but I'm trying to think. I did buy a decor piece to go in it, but then it ended up in a bigger aquarium in the living room. And anyway, so yeah, so that's sort of where I've been creative now. I've been getting into aquascapes, if you will, and not nothing really scary fancy. I'm just sort of buying stuff at work and getting it put in there. But I'm enjoying building aquariums again and setting them up and looking after the fish in them. So it's for me, that's where my creativity has been. And then if I can swing it, because I know the four of you saw my Christmas card. There was a picture of a fish on it. That was Zeta. He passed away shortly, actually just before Christmas. So now we've got Ada in that same tank. But it really challenged me because it's hard to take a picture of a fish in that environment. So I need to figure out how to light that and get a picture. So Ada is also a beautiful fish. So I think I'll give that a shot. To try and do that. I got lots of cameras hanging around here. I might as well use them, right? So
yeah, absolutely. I think it's cool how your career changes your creativity path in so many ways. You know, like I think if I were to stop working at Henry's and stop selling camera stuff, I might. Who knows? I mean, before I was in home audio video, right? So it was all about stereos and car audio back then, and now it's about photography. So your profession definitely has a lot to do with what you do.
For sure.
Aurora, any new creative tools and tricks that you've learned over the past little while? Aside from, being patient with me as an employee,
So you asked how my creativity has, or how our creativity has been changed in the last little while since the podcast, correct? I just want to, yes. Okay. Yes. So I feel really sad about talking about this. But I have to talk about it.
Yes.
So during the break, as many of you may know, I every week I take part in Dungeons and Dragons, a game that I've been playing for years. And it is a big part of how I use my creativity for fun. And basically, a couple months ago, we were doing a session and we had to kind of solve this problem. Before we went into the place that we were in, which is kind of like this forest, we were told by a character, like an all-knowing character, that one of our characters was never going to return. And by the time we got out of this forest, unfortunately, that character was my character.
Oh no.
It is not all sad and upsetting because my character is coming back, but her whole backstory is changing because basically where we went, it just completely messes with time. And where we went and the time factor totally intertwined with every aspect of my character's backstory, which is why my character is entangled in this and basically everything is going to change.
So all of the years that you put into building this character, all the
everything
time,
that's ever happened to her, all the decisions she's made, everything that is done is basically being overwritten as if she never existed. And I'm gonna be honest with you. These kind of characters, when you're playing them for so long, and the stuff that you've gone through and the stuff that you've done has put you through so much emotionally. Like, I've been playing this character probably 6 years. It is like an extension of yourself. It's an extension of you. And you put your everything into it. If you're playing right, you're putting everything into it. And it's an unfortunate thing that this has happened to my character. However, when we started to talk about how she is going to change and what's going to happen with her, I also, in a way, got excited to see what this new version of her is going to be like. But it's also sad just knowing that everything that she's ever done, which she's actually really cool, is changed. It's not it never happened because she basically never existed in that space. So it'll be interesting to see what she turns out to be like and what she does. So yeah,
it'll probably be hard to act as her, like to play her in a
new way,
current role,
new way,
without having the memories of all the things that she did before. you have to strike that from how you play her, which is a whole different way of play.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be different if you were using a different sort of dungeon master every time, but your dungeon master, I'm assuming you have sort of the same dungeon master leading or the same group of people. If you take turns, then they're going to know. If you're just sort of recycling, they're going to be like, hey,
yeah,
you can't use that one.
You can't use that because you learned that and you forgot that in the,
Exactly. There's a lot of memory that I just have to kind of erase and forget. And I think the hard part is for the actual characters, not the players, because the players understand what's going on here. They are also upset about this, unfortunately. But I mean, everybody is. I literally cried, guys. I cried at the table. And I'm not surprised that I did, but it was something that we were warned about going in, and I felt like it was potentially going to be me because I was so intertwined with it. And some bad things had happened to this character, and I guess just before this happened, like her sister literally died. And I think that her whole story had become very dark without her sister. And this was a way of kind of fixing it,
like a refresh,
in a very dark way, a very dark way to end it.
Little reset button, but not fun. I'm sorry to hear that.
That's okay. It's okay. I mean, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how she is going to be and how I'm going to play her. And I'm excited about the change, because there are good things about this change, and it's interesting to play something new and different. So I'm excited to see how that goes.
Well, you don't really have any choice, do you?
Not really, but it's like,
oh, damn it. I've lost a character playing D&D back in the day. Yeah, it's not as deep of a character as you've had, like with so much growth, because I've never played at that level, but sorry about that.
It's okay. It's okay. But it has been a change in my creativity, and it's gonna challenge me for sure in the coming weeks when we're going to be playing these last sessions where she's playing as she is now, and the new sessions where she's completely changed. So
well, good luck with that.
Thank you.
Luck. Yeah, good luck.
I've had a few things that have been, there's a lot of, it just feels like it's been so long, guys. Like it really does. I know I keep saying it, but it really feels like it's been so long. One key thing happened to me. One of the wrestling promoters that I'm working for brought some of the key players in his company to the keg for dinner. And I was listening to everybody ordering their fancy food that, of course, he was paying for. And in my brain, all I could register was, no, that's too expensive. That's too expensive. That's too expensive. And these guys are ordering filet mignon and like lobster and all these things. And stupid guy over here orders a freaking hamburger. Like I did it and I'm eating my burger. And the whole time I'm thinking, I should have ordered the steak and lobster. That's what he got. I should have just done that. Why didn't I just do that? Because I'm cheap. I mean, they have good burgers, so it's not like I ate.
Yeah, they do have good food at the keg for sure.
It was one of those moments that just kind of opened my eyes to just be like, just when somebody's offering, take. Like don't be that guy that's always worrying about what somebody else is doing. Just worry about what I'm doing. And if I want the steak and he's bringing all these people out to pay for it, get the steak. That's kind of an eye-opening thing for me because I've never been that kind of guy. It's always been a money thing for me.
The next time, do it the next time,
and hopefully there will be one. Yeah. Another thing. Sorry,
I know what you mean though. Like I've done that before. When someone says that they're treating me for dinner, then I'm like consciously or like breakfast or something. I'm consciously choosing something maybe a little bit cheaper than I would, or I'm thinking like, oh, what did they order? Okay, so I should probably order something a little bit less than them,
right,
or at the same level as them, because I don't want them to spend I don't want to be spending more than they are.
That's it. That's the rule, I think, isn't it? You look at what the person who's paying orders and don't get anything more expensive than that. But I thought he was ordering just a steak, and I didn't want just a steak. I wanted the steak and the lobster. So I would have been like, well, I just have a steak now. I should have just got the burger. But then I looked over and he had the steak and lobster, and I was like, come on. If I had only known that in advance, maybe. Anyway.
See, this is why you and me are very different, Brian, because I live my life by a motto that's free food is good food. So
my friend Robert's exactly the same. You know, if there's an event and we're shooting an event together, just look at the snack bar. That's where Robert is. You know, he's anyway. That was one thing. Another thing was I actually got. It's bringing me back to the whole passing out thing, Aurora. But when I made a post. I shot Destiny Wrestling, and I made a post, and the wrestler who I made the post told me to take it down, but I had just had a really bad reaction to a medication. I had like codeine, and it knocked me on my ass. It was pretty spooky. Fell down the stairs a couple times. Yay, fun. But anyway, as I'm going through this whole turmoil, I look at my message, and he's telling me to take the photo down. So I'm like freaking out, passing out, freaking out, like have to take this message down. I took the photo down. And then I finally read his message, and he goes, take it down because I want you to repost it and add me as a collaborator. It's fucking awesome. And I want to share it right now because in the UK, that's where he's from. This is when everybody's waking up. And in my brain, I'm thinking, I got to do this all right now. But meanwhile, I'm like literally passed out and fell down my stairs. And I'm laying on the ground with Shelly waking me up saying, I got to make a post. I got to make a post. It's just stupid, you know, just stupid. It's one of those things that I'm so pressuring myself right now to do the wrestling photography thing well. I want to impress people. I want to do it. I want to be that guy who's sought after in this trade. And I see this as like a moment where I had to basically step up, you know, like, sure, I'm not feeling well, but I have to get this done for a professional who's asking for it to be done professionally. Right. So that pressure that I put on myself is, I don't know if it's good or bad, but it is what it was. And what brought me to this conversation was Trent Seven, the same guy, gave me some advice shooting portraits, and that was to have a mirror. Small little tip, but bring a mirror with me when I shoot my portraits, and that way you can set it up, and as they're posing for you, they can see themselves. So
that's a great tip.
Ever since he gave me that tip, and I brought that with me at least once or twice when I'm shooting the portraits, people are like, "Oh, this is amazing! Whose idea was this? This is really great." I'm like,
yeah, it was mine.
It's all Trent's idea. I don't take credit for anything, but that's basically me since we've last hung out, eating food that I really wanted more, and falling on my face. Good times at the Weiss household.
There you go.
All right, music, guys, music. And now Mark has to already leave the show. It's time.
Yeah, so I don't know. Did you guys want to? Well, I don't know because I'm not going to make next Monday night, but it looks like I'm going to have to work. But yeah, I know it sucks. So I'm going to miss a show already. But
the show must go on.
We can keep going with the music and just keep it. If we go to 10 after 9, Chris will understand. But
perfect.
Tommy's getting a little hungry here. So,
well, I mean, honestly, the music conversation is really important, really interesting. But what I think is the most interesting thing about it is how we are all different ages. This is what we bring to the conversation.
Yeah,
you know. So for what I think are important generational anthem type songs, Aurora and Sean may never even heard these songs, right? So I think what I'd like to know is go down like through our list of people here. What do you think when you think of an anthem song? You know what I mean? You all know what I mean by an anthem song, don't you?
Yeah.
Sean?
Kind of.
One of those songs that's like, you know that song Closing Time? Time. It's like everybody, when you hear that song, you think of going home from work. I mean, it's just ingrained into your head. It's a thing. I'm sure
that's always played at the fucking pool hall when I go and play pool and they're like shutting down. They want people to get the fuck out. They're like, it's closing time. I'm like,
there you go.
I gotta go home.
It's one of those songs.
Yeah, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
So are there any songs in your history, Aurora, Sean, Mark, that you could think of that are like landmark kind of songs in your lifetime? Sean, go for it.
Fuck, Man, you're asking the hard-hitting questions, CNN. Jesus.
I've got too many. Like I've got songs from every part of my life that just pop into my head.
That's my problem.
Yeah, too many.
Anthem songs. Fuck, that's a good one.
Do you want to pass and come back to it?
Yeah, you know what? Skip me for a second because I gotta think now. I gotta use my brain.
All right. Mark?
Well, I mean, I think about anthem songs, like, because I mean, if you ask me when I graduated high school, I'm still going to tell you like 8 years ago. So like I'm still a guy, like I listen to a lot of 80s, 90s rock still. I listen to a lot of new stuff as well. But I do listen to a lot of the older music still from the 80s, even some from the 70s. But like there was anthems when I was in high school. Those are the ones that I think of. They're the ones that sort of shaped who you were. And they were things like, I mean, the biggest anthem songs I can think of were things like Quiet Riot, Come On Feel the Noise. There was Twisted Sister and We're Not Gonna Take It. So those were some pretty good anthems. And then you got into Canadian Boys, Helix. They had Rock You. So those were all big at that time. So they were the ones that quite often you'd hear somebody, blasting down the highway, past the school, listening to those songs after school in their Camaro or iRock or whatever it was, right? So those were the big anthems, I think, from my youth that really made an impression on me and shaped my music tastes. I mean, it's gone 8 ways from Sunday from there. Like when I graduated from high school, if it was not rock and roll, I didn't want to listen to it. But then I worked with a DJ, and that sort of changed because you used to record a set and give me the tape. So lots of fun. But those are the anthems that come to mind when you say anthem.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Aurora, what about you? Can you think of songs like that?
Oh man, I have a lot. Like as you were saying, Brian, like there's different songs for different times in your life. I've been thinking about music a lot, more specifically music in relation to my relationship with Andrew, because our wedding's coming up in just under 10 months, and we have to choose a first dance song. And I gotta say, being in a relationship almost now 14 years, I feel like there is no song that will ever, in my mind, will ever be our song. I feel like there's 20 or 30 different songs that I can be like, oh, this reminds me of when we were like in high school, or this reminds me when we were doing more of a long distance thing because we were colleges on opposite sides of the city and we barely saw each other, and like this one reminds me of when we moved in together and stuff like that. But there's nothing that really feels like a song that sums us up. And I've been thinking about all these songs, and then I listen to them and I'm like, this doesn't just feel, it doesn't feel like enough. It doesn't feel like this is our wedding song, so I've been actually thinking about this a lot, which is one of the reasons why I love this. I love this idea, these kind of songs. When I was growing up, one of the CDs that was in our 5 CD changer cartridge almost all the time at my house was Bare Naked Ladies, Hello City.
Great tune.
And I just remember, like, as a kid, like, not, this has nothing to do with like Andrew, but this is one of these songs that I can think of when I was younger, and the house seemed like happier, and there wasn't life, I still felt like a kid. I still felt like young and having fun and playing and stuff like that. And I remember my family dancing together in the house to some of the songs on this album, and it was just a lot of fun to listen to. You're gonna laugh, but one of my favorite songs also when I was growing up was Taking Care of Business by Back and Turner
Nice.
Overdrive. But I will say, like, it's definitely a generational thing. The reason why I was introduced to that song was because of A Knight's Tale, the movie.
Yes.
Oh, interesting, because I remember that from Risky Business.
There you go.
Right,
so,
with Tom Cruise, yeah.
And I loved A Knight's Tale. That was my favorite movie. I was so obsessed with it for so long. I love, like, you know, the just like the old style mixed with, you know, the classic kind of music and stuff like that. And you know, it has the romance and the action and all of that. And that was my favorite song from that. And I made up a whole little dance routine and stuff like that. And I danced to that song. I can't tell you what that dance routine is now, but
I was gonna ask.
Yeah, no, I don't remember any of the dance moves. But it was definitely one of those songs that, you know, sticks out in my head. And then, yeah, like Andrew and I, like songs that remind me of different things from Andrew and I was, you know, like there's a ton. I mean, a lot of them are Arkell's songs because we've been to like 3 or 4 Arkell's concerts together. We went to see the Trues, so there's a few Trues songs that are really nice that I like. One time we went to an open mic night and Andrew sang Sweet Child of Mine. So, you know, that, and played the guitar to that. So that song sticks out in my head. He introduced me to so many different songs and I introduced him to other songs. So like I introduced him to the band Mariana's Trench, which is a Canadian, you know, like poppy punk kind of band. And when we were first started dating, the album Masterpiece Theater had been out for maybe, I don't know, 6 or 7 months at that point. And I love that album. And when we went out on our dates, I'm like, oh, can I put the CD in? And we'd listen to the whole CD and just like talk about life and stuff like that. So, I mean, there's so many different songs that I can think of that, you know, relate to our relationship and stuff, but nothing just seems like the right fit for our first dance song. So it's been interesting thinking about that a lot.
First dance is a tough one.
Yeah.
A real tough one. Like, my first dance at our wedding was the same as my cousin's for his first wedding, which I didn't even realize until we did it. And then him and his wife came up to us after our first dance, and they were like, "That was the same song we had." So that was kind of cool. But
that is cool.
Love of a Lifetime by Firehouse.
They
were like an 80s rock band. And then there was our final dance at our wedding was Forever by Kiss. Which was funny because it's Chris and I. So every time Paul Stanley's like forever, Chris and I would stop dancing, back up, and go for how long? So,
Sean, you think
Love of a Lifetime by who?
Firehouse.
Sounds
Yeah, it's
like
a very much an 80s rock ballad sort of thing, but yeah,
I'm trying to brush past the wedding song.
and a good friend of ours used nothing else. Oh, come on, what is it, Brian?
You had to tell me. Or tell us.
Okay, so we made a rule at our wedding. There was
baby got back.
there was 2 musicians that were not allowed at our wedding to play at our wedding. Well, the Macarena, we weren't allowed to do the Macarena, and no Celine Dion.
Okay.
Just so happens Celine Dion became our wedding song. Heart Will Go On, of course, because it was like, I don't know what to choose. The first dance was a different song. That was a Johnny Mathis song. The Shelley, her uncle, the song reminds her of her uncle or something like that. So Johnny Mathis was the first dance, or the her dance. What do you call
dance
it?
With her dad?
With her uncle, I think it was.
Oh, with her uncle, yeah.
But yeah. And Celine Dion, not a fan. Just not a fan.
I don't think anybody is.
At our wedding,
I don't think anybody is. She's all
no.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Celine, why the long face? So we had at our wedding, when we were setting everything up with the DJ, he goes, "Is there anything you don't want me to play?" And we both at the same time went country. And he goes, "Really? No country?" And we both said, "Yeah, you play country, you don't get paid."
Yeah.
And he actually high-fived us. And we told him, and he goes, well, what if somebody requests a country song? And I said, okay, so country songs by request, you pass it by the best man, and he'll know which ones he can play. And there was one country song played, which is the one that they always play, "Friends in Low Places" by Garth.
Oh, of course. Well, that's kind of that's an anthem song right there.
Yeah, that is one of those, because I kind of do have friends in low places.
I think we all do.
Present company not excluded. I mean, Aurora's the up and up one, but it's two shifty guys up here. Where are you over here?
Yeah, I'm pretty shifty.
Yeah. That stung just a little bit, Sean. Stung a little bit.
Could you think of any of those songs that were impacting your world, Sean?
Yeah, actually, I got two as far as I can think. I don't know if you guys can smell my brain working, but it kind of smells like I'm burning the clutch out of my car right now. The one of the songs that I know I can think of is "Fortunate Son" by Creedence Clearwater Revival. You guys remember that one? It's like anytime you're going somewhere and you're like, fuck, I gotta amp myself up, right? Like you put that on, you're like, fuck, like you feel like you got like the big machine gun on your arm with the fucking the bullet wrapped around your arm like Rambo.
There were so many movies. What was the war movie that was in the? It was from the soundtrack of one of the big movies.
I can't remember. I'm pretty sure it was in. I want to say it was in Tears of the Sun, but I don't think so. That one was like a different. That was like a whole like orchestral score. I think. I can't remember. Fuck. Actually, speaking of songs from the movie, the next one was actually from Christine, which is really funny. The first scene when they're building Christine in the factory, the Plymouth Fury.
Yeah.
And then what was it? I think it's "Bad to the Bone" by George Thorogood.
Oh yeah.
I think it was. Yeah. Every time I hear that song, like I play it in the car religiously when I go to like the old classic car shows, and I kind of just like sneak my my JDM little car there. I always play it just because like I know I have like the subwoofer and shit. And I just roll the windows down and I blast like old school music. Yeah. But "Bad to the Bone" is a song that I always put on because like it feels like my car is like this badass little motherfucker, like this little thing that like probably comes to life and kills people that call me names and shit. Just rebuilds itself overnight. But no, that's like, to me, whenever I listen to that song, it's like always like I'm just thinking about something that's like extremely fucking badass. So like it's probably gonna be on repeat when I'm doing the resto mod on my dad's Nova eventually years down the line. Nice. So I'm just gonna be playing that in the shop.
So I'm so confused. I'm sorry. What does GDM mean?
JDM? Fuck.
Japanese
domestic motor. I can't remember.
I thought you were trying to say goddamn something. I thought it was like a shotgun. GDM. I'm looking up like gestational diabetes mellitus. What are you talking about?
No, JDM. Okay. It's a Japanese car. So like anything that like your car technically is JDM if you think about it.
My car is badass. Don't talk about my car like that.
Yeah, see, bad to the bone.
Bad to the bone. That's right.
I love music. I love what it's done for everything. And I love how when you hear a song, sometimes it brings you back to a specific moment. You can smell the air. You can feel the feeling. Music just touches your core. I was looking back at my personal list, and I'm a paper guy. I know. It's like
it's a fucking huge list, too.
It's all of it. But I remember specific ones, like when I was taking a road trip down to California with my father. I was like 6 years old, and my brother, sister, my dad are driving down, and he had 8-track tapes with Elton John, and I've talked about these before, the Eagles, things like that. So those are songs that are ingrained. Benny and the Jets specifically, and then fast forward a little bit, and we did like a lip sync contest at home.
Need some sunglasses if I'm going to sing that.
Yeah, I know, right? We had this lip sync contest, and I sang some Billy Joel from Glass Houses.
Billy Joel.
Some great song from Billy Joel. But I think the big important things for me were Mozart. The first time I heard Mozart. And hearing classical music live, by the way, like in a orchestra, the full orchestra playing and the whole thing. That was absolutely life-changing. Show of hands, who here has actually seen an actual live orchestral performance? Oh, I really.
Aurora's not sure.
I'm like, okay, does what's it called? Trans-Siberian Orchestra count?
Well, I'm sure it does.
So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Musicians on stage with instruments, absolutely.
It's orchestra in the fucking name.
Because
I've
seen them, but other than that, no.
Yeah, that's incredible. Just the
sound,
Sean. You gotta go to a.
Yeah, it's something. Movement. It's one of those things where if you've never been, it is definitely one of those life experiences.
Absolutely ingrained in my mind to this day.
Yeah.
The feeling of the sound and just being able to pinpoint where all the instruments are on the stage. It's not like listening to in a car, you know.
I'm one of those guys that likes to try, a lot of things at least once. And I don't know if I would do an orchestra. I mean, like, I'm not a big fan of Mozart and the beef oven guy, whatever the fuck, the deaf dude.
I can't listen to that beef oven guy either.
Yeah, I can't do it.
I mean, if you get a chance, I finally found the glasses I was looking for, so we'll put
there you go.
Yeah. You're somewhere in this mess.
Yeah, look good.
So much smarter now.
Yeah, right? With the tape. Little Poindexter going on.
No, I think you've been to live concerts, so you know what the feeling is like of the sound hitting your soul.
Especially when you're listening to Dinosaur Jr. and you're like within spitting distance of Jay Mascis and like the speaker is right here and you're deaf in one ear for like 3 days. Love that.
Yeah,
the best part.
See, that's the difference, I think, between going to an orchestra and going to a concert. I've been to both. Orchestra, I leave remembering the tones and the sounds and the placement of the instruments and
the emotion
because
it's like a ride, right? An orchestra.
Concert, you leave with a numb ears, and a head full of just banging. I mean, I've been to good concerts. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, it's still loud. I've been to Kiss. I mean, that was freaking loud. Police, Rush, Sting, like some pretty decent concerts. Pink Floyd, and I get it. They have good production, good concerts, sounds great, and everything. But the difference is how that sound quality. I'll put it back to like car audio. I used to judge sound quality competitions. There was sound quality, and then there was sound pressure level. Sound pressure level, you're just making a loud car. Sound quality, you have head space and the head staging and where the sound is coming from and the tone and the covering the full frequency response and the whole thing. So that's the difference, I think. And I really encourage people going to a live concert. I want to take Shelley to something like that too. We've never really done that together. So something like that is really important. You know, finding Mozart to me was huge. And then finding Rush, finding the Police, finding Yes. These bands that are like, getting up and actually playing real instruments and playing music that is challenging and interesting. And it makes you think a little bit sometimes. And like Roundabout from Yes. I don't know if you guys have heard that song.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that song is just ridiculous. It's just such a good song. And these are all songs before you guys were born. So that's why I'm kind of impressed to hear that both you, Aurora and Sean, picked songs that were kind of like our mark on my era as well.
Yeah, it shows that they stand, right? I mean, there's a lot of bands out there that really left a mark on music, right? When you get into like Elton John, I mean, he's just the quintessential entertainer. I mean, I've seen him live in concert. He puts on an amazing show. But I mean, you go even further back, like the stuff from before I was born, and Brian, before you were born, like when you get into a lot of the early stuff from the Rolling Stones, the Beatles, Elvis. Right. I mean, they all left their mark on modern music going further back, whether it be now I'm drawing a blank on that. But when you get into the even you've got B.B. King, he's not further back, but I mean, B.B. King and the blues and the rock. You talked about George Thorogood, like that is just that's all. They're all anthem songs, and so many of them, especially when they rehash in a movie. Queen, right? When I'll never forget, I had a colleague, a coworker. We worked nights, and I used to give him a lift home because he didn't have a car. And one morning, he says, "Oh, my brother is in the plaza with his friend. Do you mind giving him a lift back home to my place too?" I said, "Yeah, no problem." So they hopped in the back, and as we were driving, Bohemian Rhapsody came on the radio. It was on Q107, and his brother freaks out. He's like, "Oh my God, that's that new song by that new band called Queen. It's in the Wayne's World soundtrack." And I'm like, "Oh God, I'm old."
Yeah.
But yeah, it's amazing how everything old becomes new again, right?
I've told you my Bohemian Rhapsody story, haven't I? Did I mention it before? Way back, I was living in Massachusetts, I believe. And I had just heard Bohemian Rhapsody. I don't know where I saw it. Maybe I saw it on MTV video or something like that. I don't remember. But I called the local radio station, rock radio station, and I asked them if they would play Bohemian Rhapsody. And the guy's like, we don't play that opera crap. This is a rock station. And I was like, are you kidding me? You're not going to play Bohemian? This is obviously before it was popular, right? Yeah. This is before it came out the first time. So fast forward to today, and you look at the top 100 rock songs of all time. Yeah. Bohemian Rhapsody is in the top 5, probably. Yeah. Right?
Probably, yeah.
So I think I'm a trendsetter. Yeah. I know things before they do. That's always Okay, I'm going to call out a name of a band, and I want to get you an opinion, a reaction, if you would. From
it's easy.
Yeah, it's okay. Easy. So Lionel Richie.
No, I'm not a big fan.
Hello. Hello.
Willie Nelson.
Is it me you're looking for?
You know what? I've never heard anything from Willie Nelson. I just remember Willie Nelson from the Dukes of Hazzard movie. Is that bad? Does that make me a shitty person? does that make me an awful human being? Did I be shot on the spot?
I was gonna say, when did you watch the Dukes of Hazzard show? I mean, that's way before your time.
Are you fucking? My dad raised me on that shit, man. Fucking that shit was the best.
Wow,
love that. I know that show, but not Knight Rider. I watched like the newer version of Knight Rider when they had like the saline version of like the Mustang. Like it wasn't like the old like Firebird like kit. You know what I mean? Like it was like the newer version. Yeah. It was like, weirder because David Hasselhoff was, doing David Hasselhoff shit. So I don't know what the fuck.
I never
watched the Hoff.
Yeah, it wasn't the original Knight Rider, which was kind of lame, but
okay,
what it is.
Musical Youth.
Don't know.
You don't know that song? Pass the Dutchie. Okay, so this is.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
I know the song. It was never really my jam.
I'm terrible with names of things, and not like if someone like started singing something, then I'd be like, oh yeah, I know that song.
Okay, but when I say pass the Dutchie, you know what I'm
I know that.
Yes,
pass the Dutchie on the left hand side.
Okay, the first time I heard that song was the Scooby-Doo movie.
Yeah, same.
Thank you, movies, at least for introducing people to music.
I'm old.
It's such a great tune. I'm sorry.
So where did you say Bohemian Rhapsody hit on the top rock songs?
I would say within the top 5.
Number 2.
Ooh, what's number 1?
Led Zeppelin,
Stairway.
Yeah.
Has to be.
Number 3 is Leonard Skinner's Freebird.
That makes sense.
4 is Deep Purple, Smoke on the Water. And around at number 5, Pink Floyd, Comfortably Numb.
That's a good one.
There you go.
That's a good
so
one.
it's a solid top 5. And of course, 6 is also Led Zeppelin, Kashmir.
So, that's so good. Oh.
Yeah, good song. But yeah, so that's as rated by the 100 greatest rock songs as voted by Planet Rock listeners.
All right. That's cool. Thanks, Mark. I've got a question for everybody. If you were a pro wrestler, what song would you want as an entrance theme?
Oh my goodness.
That's actually a good one.
I gotta say, I've never imagined myself as a pro wrestler.
I could totally imagine you as a pro wrestler. I could totally see it.
What?
She's still calm on the outside, but there's like a deep burning anger.
So much anger. Yeah. You would be incredible.
I can see that.
Any thoughts of what you'd actually want?
Mark? Yeah, I the obvious one would be Bad to the Bone, but that's already been said. So I'm not going there. Not going there. I'm gonna go heavier, and we'll go For Whom the Bell Tolls.
I was just gonna fucking say that too. Fuck.
That actually worked.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one too. Damn it.
Oh, you picked Sean's. I guess.
That's too bad. Now I gotta think of a different one. And then I gotta hate my next choice too.
No, man, this is a difficult one.
I've had a lot of time to think about it, so I know what I would want.
What's yours?
46 and 2 by Tool, of course. Tool.
Good tune.
Okay. Oh, did you see my Tool shirt, by the way?
I love it.
Oh, there's the back. Yeah, that's fucking sick.
Yeah, that's awesome.
God, I need some acid to really enjoy
this to me. Customer had been on my photo workshops and stuff. They moved out. to like BC, and before they left, they had me drive out to their house so they can give me this shirt. And it was so nice. I'm very excited because this, to me, like this is everybody knows, I've talked about it a million times. Tool is my number one band of all time. As far as I'm concerned, they are the perfect answer to all things music, and everybody else can just suck eggs because they're wrong.
And John is angry.
I know, right?
Yeah, I'm Brian. I'm gonna be honest. I haven't really. So when you say the band Tool, like I don't really think of. There's a couple artists that you spoke of earlier, and nothing really came to mind when you said something, and nothing really comes to mind. I know that I've heard you play it before in the store.
It's not the kind of music that you can hear as like background music in a store and let it register.
Yeah.
It's kind of the music that you have to be angry in the first place.
Yeah.
You have to at least think that you're smarter than other people.
Or you hear it in a music store or something, and you're like, "What? Wait." I was actually. I was in our local music world, and so I was there looking at guitars, as I do. And there was a guy trying out a new bass, and he started playing 46 and 2. Oh. And when he got there, the guy trying out a guitar started playing the guitar parts.
Get out of here!
And they were like across the store from one another.
That's a dream. I would get.
They didn't know one another at all. It was like
I would start playing along.
Dude,
I would love that.
Awesome. And I just hung out. Right, the guys like, "Can I help you?" I go, "No, I'm good."
I'm just enjoying the moment.
Yeah,
that's cool. So yeah, you know what? Tool is one of those bands that it was one of the two bands, my favorite bands, my top two bands, but I hated them when I first heard about it. I had no interest at all. The name Tool, to me, sounded stupid.
Yeah, I'll have to be honest. Me too, because Derringer used to do the Tool of the Day on Q107, right? So
yeah, right, like idiots, right? Tool is something I always thought of as stupid people. It's just a tool. Yeah. You're just a tool, a useless tool. Yeah. And then Rush, the band Rush, I thought was devil worshippers, and I didn't want to have anything to do with them when I first heard
the Moving Pictures album.
Yeah, Moving Pictures. The what do you call it? I don't know. There's another one that kind of always freaked me out too. But you gotta see past these things sometimes.
Motley Crue Shout at the Devil with the big pentagram on the cover, right? I had to have it when I saw it, right? And it was because it was controversial.
Yep.
And the album title, like Shout at the Devil, right? So
also good music.
And the fun part is Chris and I have merged our music collections. And as I'm going through our LPs, there are 2 copies of Shout at the Devil.
The beauty of getting married to somebody that you weren't born with, coming from 2 different lives, joining together with all this different music.
But I mean, Chris is the one that introduced me to a lot of bands like Queen and, Stevie Ray Vaughan, stuff like that, right? So. And actually, Chris saw Stevie Ray Vaughan. Very jealous. I never got to see Stevie Ray.
Oh my God, I would love that.
Yeah, that would have been awesome. So,
okay, guys, we're getting low on time, and I do have one more question for you all.
Okay.
One
more question.
If you could request our viewers to hear one band with their selection of work that would enlighten their world, what band would you think is that one band that people need to learn more about? Aurora, why don't you start?
I don't know. That's really hard to say. There's a Canadian band called July Talk. They're such an interesting sound. The guy has like this really deep, like raspy kind of voice, and the girl has this nice high, like what's it called, like soprano style voice, and it's like an alternative rock sound, but the 2 voices together just like really complement each other in such an interesting way. And I've seen them live, and they perform really well live together. It's really cool. So I would say July Talk, because I always talk about the Arkells. And I'm all about supporting like Canadian bands too. I love it when it's like a Canadian band. I'll be like, yay, there's a sense of pride behind that. So I will say July Talk. Cool. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say that they're like my favorite band, but I would say that they're just such an interesting sound that like the first time I heard the music. I just got like a really, it just sounds cool. You want to listen more to them. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Do
awesome.
any of you guys know July Talk?
No. I don't, but I'm going to have to look it up now.
Yeah. I'm writing down the what you guys pick because I always want to hear something new. Sean, you've got the biggest shit-eating grin. You've got something on your mind.
Honestly, I was going through one of my Spotify playlists, like my harder Spotify playlist. When you asked the fucking entrance music question, I was like, fuck, there's so many songs I would use that would make me such a kick-ass dude.
Like, yeah, you never picked your entrance song, did you?
No, you know what? I'm gonna fucking do that real quick because I was literally just in that playlist, and I'm sure Mark would love these. Hold on, I got it. So definitely my first, like my top pick would be Final Six by Slayer. It's not on Spotify, which sucks, but it was the one Slayer song that it was like, I'm a Slayer fan now. This is great. The next one I would be more keen on either Sulfur or People Equal Shit by Slipknot. You know that one. He's been loving my Slipknot playlist. It's great. Seek and Destroy by Metallica. Because that shit was fucking, that was hardcore.
Actually, interesting fact, quick. That song was written originally by Dave Mustaine from Megadeth, and it was called She Can Destroy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That will never leave my brain.
When they left the band, they changed it. Because I guess Lars and Kirk and James owned the music, but Dave had written the lyrics. So they changed it.
Interesting. The next one would probably be The Art of Shredding by Pantera. Because Pantera fucking slaps, even though they're a bunch of fucking, potential neo-Nazis. But that's fine. That's great.
Two of them are dead now, so that's...
Yeah, that's true.
The brothers, of course.
Horrible.
Burning Fight by Inside Out. That was like, you guys remember Rage Against the Machine?
Yeah.
So the lead singer was in a band before Rage, and he was in, it was this band called Inside Out. And Burning Fight, John showed it to me a while back, and he put it on, and immediately I was like, this is like my favorite fucking song right now, because it makes me feel like I want to beat the shit out of people. It's fucking great. It's a good one.
Like break stuff, right?
Yeah. And I think I got two more. Obscene by the Rollins Band, because the Rollins Band was that was good shit. Yeah. And then where is it? Down Rodeo by Rage Against the Machine. And that's all I got there. In terms of a band that I would like people to listen to, if you haven't already, which I'm sure a lot of people that listen to this have heard this band, because if they haven't, then you have like probably zero fucking taste. But that's okay. I'm a big fan, and John's going to hate me for this. He's probably going to slap me when he hears this, but Kings of Leon. I love Kings of Leon. They're fantastic. Okay. Their older music is kind of hard to listen to a little bit. But like their newer shit, it's like, it's so good. It just gets you. Yeah. And then you're like, fuck, now I'm a fan and I got to go see one of these shows.
There you go.
But Kings of Leon, all of their albums from like start to finish are pretty fucking good.
Perfect.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I have two bands that I think people should listen to if they haven't heard it, and I've chosen two for a reason. One of them is a Canadian band because I like Aurora's or where Aurora went with this. So the Canadian band is Triumph, and they were a great band through the '80s. They didn't do huge on the international stage, but they were very, very good. That's a lot of great tunes, a lot of great songs, a lot of great just some real toe tappers and catchy songs, catchy riffs, great lyrics. And the other one,
and the singer grabs his nuts the whole time he sings because he's so high.
But the other I should have grabbed. But the other one is a pure rock band from Germany, the Scorpions. And they are just the quintessential rock band. They've got a lot of great hits, a lot of great rock and ballads and stuff like that. If you've never heard the Scorpions, you have heard the Scorpions, even though you go, no, I don't know their music. You've heard their music. Rock You Like a Hurricane, Big City Nights, Still Loving You. So many great tunes. They're probably the band I've seen the second most live in concert. But
that'd be awesome.
They always put on a great show.
I hear they're retiring from performing live.
Yeah, a lot of the older guys are. And it's hard, right? I mean, I'm old and I'm only 52, and I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I need to
especially
retire.
touring.
Yeah, touring is hard. It's tough on a body, and a lot of the guys they're getting replaced with younger guys that can do it, right? Like Motley Crue replaced Mick Mars with John Five, right? So controversially, but Mick just couldn't do the touring anymore.
Yeah, they're all starting to be recorded by AI now, and Elvis is going back on tour apparently.
Perfect. Yeah,
No,
hologram. Nice.
Yeah, seriously. They've AI generated.
So thank you very much.
Yeah, exactly. Yay. All right. So for me, and then we'll say goodnight to our fine viewers. For me,
I also? I picked my entrance song while you guys were talking.
Okay, go for it.
Muse, The Resistance.
Oh yeah.
Oh, nice.
I love that song, and I honestly completely blanked on Muse, but I love Muse. They're definitely one of my favorite bands.
See, every time I
saw them live, and it was so cool.
Every time I hear of a wrestling entrance song, I visualize the time that you're behind the curtain, the music starts, and I could hear that start, and then the point where the curtain opens and you come through the curtain, and then it's like the big chorus part of the song.
It's one of those songs that you just like feel like listening to it. You just feel like really like cool. You feel like you can do anything. Song. Yeah.
I was just picture Edge coming out in his crazy eyes. He's just like,
Edge?
just
you think you know me. You think you know me. You think you know me. Sorry. I'm such a wrestling fan. That's such a geek. Okay, so for my songs, I'm going to pick, or my bands, I'm going to pick two as well. First is a weird one that you guys would never guess. Bobby McFerrin.
Sounds familiar.
He does the song Don't Worry, Be Happy.
Oh, yeah. Classic.
But he does a lot of other stuff too. The first time I actually saw him, he was on Saturday Night Live doing a performance of a song called Drive. And he basically does all the sounds of a car with his neck. And he's doing this all just with one microphone standing up on a stage. And it was so good. My wife was working at Rogers at the time. And I called her and I said, is there any way you can get me a copy of this? And she actually brought home a VHS copy of Saturday Night Live, the performance of Bobby McFerrin doing this. It was so good.
Nice.
So Bobby McFerrin is just a talent. He's got perfect pitch. So like when he sings octaves up and down, he hits them and he knows exactly. He can out of the blue just start singing a song and be right on pitch. The dude's just incredible. And also a band called Animal Logic. I don't know if you guys have heard of this band. It's made up of Stuart Copeland, Stanley Clark, and Deborah Holland. It's a trio. Stuart Copeland is the drummer for the Police. Stanley Clark is a legendary bass player, jazz bass player, one of the best of all time. And Deborah Holland is kind of an annoying singer. But as a band, they really they came out with a couple of really cool albums back in the 90s. And I think it's fun, interesting music with a lot of thought behind it. And Stuart Copeland playing the drums. So it's got to be good. Oh, that was another thing I wanted to mention. I fixed my drum.
Nice.
So this drum, my webcam. What'd you do? Frick, are you kidding me? What, did my battery die? Of course.
Well, there you go. Well, just as we were wrapping it up.
Yeah, we're wrapping it up. Anyway, this drum, I replaced all the lugs on it, and I'm very happy. And it sounds freaking amazing. I can't wait to have an opportunity to play. But since my battery died, I'm not going to bother changing it right now. Screw that. Thank you, Nikon Z8 with its own ENL 15 batteries. And it's not charging by the USB, so I got to figure out what's going on there.
Oh.
Anywho, guys, is there anything you would like to say before we say goodnight?
I just want to say it's great to be back. And if you have stuck out with us for this long, thanks very much. Comment below, like, subscribe. Tell us about your friends. If you didn't like us, shut the fuck up. We don't tell anybody. But if you like us, tell your friends. But if not, just keep it to yourself. And it's been great chatting with you guys again. I've really missed it, and maybe as I said, I'm going to miss next Monday's show, but we'll get back into it after that.
Cool. I've got an idea for next Monday's show too, which I'll tell you. Oh
man, it's going to be a good one too, isn't it?
Yeah, as soon as we stop recording. Anything you'd like to say?
Yeah, of course.
No, man, I'm stoked to finally get back to hanging with you guys and chatting and seeing Mark. Jesus, fuck that man, it's gorgeous. Look at him. Just look at the beard. Look at it. It's fantastic.
Salt and pepper. All salt and fucking pepper. Nice.
No, man, I'm happy to be back and hanging out with you guys, and it's nice to be doing something on a Monday night that isn't, playing video games and fucking sleeping.
There you go.
Aurora?
I'm also very happy to be back, and I'm excited to see where this season will take us.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, one thing the season's going to do is it's going to give us a new way to end the show, and that's with our expression of the week.
Ooh.
Here we go. I'm down for this.
Here we go.
So, you guys like that idea? Expression of the week?
I
do. It's cool.
So this expression of the week is the cat is out of the bag.
Who put it in there in the first place?
I don't have a cat, so
check this out. The origin story behind this one is particularly silly. Merchants used to sell piglets off to farms in bags. If they were swindling their customers, though, they might stick a cat in there instead. Cats are cheaper, right? A little more common animal. So they wouldn't find out until the cat was out of the bag.
Interesting.
Interesting.
So apparently cats are cheaper than pigs. And
you wouldn't have noticed the little squeal as opposed to like a
meow.
Well, you got a bag full of pigs and one of them's a cat. It's a lot of noise going on.
Yeah, so. People were stupid back then. What do you want?
Yeah.
All right, that's it for us, guys. Thank you all so much for watching us this week. We'll see you all next week. Thanks so much, and stay creative. Bye-bye.
Peace.
That was good.
I want to know who the fuck put the cat in the bag anyway. Sick fuck was that?
Swindling farmers.
Who's that sick fucker that put a cat in the bag? Like, where is PETA when you need them?